Education. I look forward to meeting your family one day too, as well. I never met your children and all of them.
Okay, they're every Savior's Day. I make sure they see you. They know you from the drilling.
Yeah, okay. Here we go. And we are live. Boom. Perfect. I want to thank everyone for tuning in to a special edition of Off the Record this evening. We have a very illustrious guest today named Sister Al Nisa Muhammad, who has served in our nation for decades on decades on decades.
All
I
right,
thank you.
guys.
I thank you very much, ma'am, for taking time out of your busy schedule to come have a conversation with us. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam, sir. Thank you
Yes,
for
ma'am.
having me.
No problem. Sister Al Nisa, I have a quick question. So
Yes.
when did you first hear the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad?
So I was born in the Nation of Islam. So my
Mm,
mom and my dad, Brother Arthur and Sis Jeanette, they were members of the Nation of Islam. So I accepted in Boston, Massachusetts in 1991 when I was there in college. So I
mm.
accepted in November of 1991. So I've always heard the teaching.
Boom. Excellent. And you saying you were born in the nation. So your parents, can you give us some like background information? They were in Newark, they were in Boston. Where were they from?
So they were from the first. They were in Muhammad Mosque number 25 when it was on South Orange Avenue. So my father is Brother Arthur Muhammad,
Mm-hmm.
captain of Newark Mosque, the Hall of Fame boxer, 6'6". That's my dad. And my mom is his Jeanette, 11X, for Muhammad's Mosque number 25 in Newark.
Praise be to Allah. Yes, ma'am. What was it like growing up with the pressure of growing up in a household of, you know, a captain and, the teachings Friday 75? What was that like?
So I was born in 1973. So growing up in the Nation of Islam, it was a little difficult because, we had to fall. So
Yes,
it was
ma'am.
a little, brief moment where we were trying to wonder what we were going to do. But my dad, as you all know, was incarcerated. So my mom was a single parent and we were living in the
Mm.
project. But she had that Mars mentality. She was a soldier from day one. Her thing was, I'm raising you, your siblings in this project, but you're not going to be project children. So we've always had a hedge of covering around us from her, but she kept us connected to Islam. We never went Sunni, but we stayed under the teachings of the Nation of Islam until Brother Minister Khadija stood up in Newark, and then we started going to the meetings. And I've been there since, as Brother Minister Khadija would say, since I was in a stroller. I've been attending the meetings.
Praise be to Allah. Okay, so you got to answer your question. No, we did not know that your father was incarcerated. I didn't know that. Okay, yes, ma'am. So this was before he was boxing or after?
What was before?
When your father was incarcerated?
Oh no, so my dad was incarcerated 1975. So
Okay, okay.
he was given life in prison. I didn't
Mm,
know the story. So he started boxing. He boxed his way out of prison.
mm, mm.
He was an amateur boxer, winning everything, and always stay prison. And these people decided to, go for it. Like, let's get him out of prison, and he became out and became a professional boxer. Yeah.
Okay, yes, ma'am. I didn't know that.
The Nation of Islam saved his life.
Mm, mm. Praise be to Allah. I didn't know that at all. Yes, ma'am. So growing up in the projects of the murder capital of the East Coast, and which seemed like the murder capital of the world in Newark, how was that growing up there?
I mean, I didn't. Now I knew it was the project, but that's what we did. That's like I loved it. Like when I got married, my thing to my husband was I want my children to be raised in the projects. You learn how to survive. That's me.
Mm,
Like you can. I mean, if you didn't live there, you don't know. But there's nothing that I feel as though I couldn't do. Some of us
mm.
don't make it out, but the teaching helped me get to where I need to be. But I don't have an issue with being raised in the project. It made me who I am.
Praise be to Allah. Okay, yes, ma'am. I would have never known that you were raised in the projects or nothing. I didn't know any of this. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, I love it. Pending court.
Okay, yes, ma'am. Okay, what's it called?
Penitent Court. It's one of the only projects still standing in Newark, New Jersey at this time. It's only two of them, and that's
Okay,
one.
yes, ma'am. So this was okay, wonderful. All right. I see a lot of comments. Walaikum salam, Mimi. OMG, Sister Khadija loves Sister Al Nisa. Sister Kathy Brown says she loves Sister Al Nisa. Walaikum salam to you too, Sister Kathy Brown. Sister Sharima says all praises to Allah. Sister Shaniqua says, Sister Al Nisa just told her age. She was actually born in 1943. That's an inside joke.
Whatever.
Um, Sister Naima says Walaikum salam. And hey, Captain Akil, Walaikum salam, sir. Yes, ma'am. Once you became of age, what made you accept the teachings?
So I went to school early to college. I was like 16. So before
Hmm.
I was running track. So I was a track star going on scholarship. But my mother's agreement to me was you had to go to a city that had a mosque. So even though I wasn't registered in the Nation of Islam, she knew what the nation would do for me. So she actually went, and we went to visit Boston, and she met with Minister Don and Sister Shirley, and they sold her on it, like, we got her. But,
okay.
Grow up in the Nation of Islam, but we can't stray. So I'm in school on the weekends. I'm learning I could be out late at night. My mom was very strict, so I didn't have a chance to hang out until I got to college, and I'm young. So I had my time where I did a few things, and I would be hanging out late at night, getting reports to Boston's mosque. I'm like, that's all you do in college is hang out. Like, how are you restricting me from living my life? But I had a few near-death experiences. I had a carjacking. I had a car accident where the car flipped over a few times. So I was like, let's get it together. God is for something, dedicate your life to Him, and I've done it since. Yes.
Praise be to Allah. Yes, ma'am. And now, were these in the crack houses when you were spinning the car around, like the car expense? No?
No, sir.
Okay, yes, ma'am. I just want to be clear about what's going on. Yes, ma'am. Wonderful. Alaikum salam, brother Ivan X from Tulsa, Oklahoma. Yes, ma'am. So that's a beautiful story of how you accepted the teachings. What was it like being, once you came back home and you decided to be a Vanguard? What was that like?
So I actually joined in Boston in 1991, still running track, so I didn't have many weekends to spend as for MGT class. I would mostly come on Sundays. So around 1993, I decided I stopped running because I wanted to, dedicate myself to the Nation of Islam. So I've foregone my last year of my track scholarship, and I dedicated myself to the mosque in Boston. And within like 6 months, I was the Vanguard first officer, and within another 3 months, I became the Vanguard captain.
In Boston?
In Boston. I started in Boston. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I definitely didn't know that. Yes, ma'am. Mimi's telling me to ease up on you because she knew about you in the crack house. Okay, yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Sister Sharima said, all praise to Allah, you were being saved or something. Wonderful. So once you became the Vanguard captain in Boston, what was that like as far as the climate in Boston in 93 and Roxbury and all of the crime and all? What was that like in Boston?
We didn't have that much crime that I knew of, because again, I'm still in college, so I'm not in that area. I'm still on a college campus, but I'm under Minister Don, so he, he did what he had to do to protect the mosque and the believers. So I didn't see a lot of crime, and we were actually under Sister Shirley Muhammad, who who that is, and Sister Yvette. So we had a very good training that allowed me to get a good foundation of what it is to be a soldier in the Nation of Islam. So, and at that time, of course, your mom and Sister Capt Al Nisa was starting a whole National Vanguard curriculum. So we didn't have any idle time. We were busy with studying. We were trying to graduate. So it kept us busy as young believers in the Nation of Islam.
Praise be to Allah. Yes, ma'am. Wonderful. What was it like when you first eventually met like the Muslim Minister Farrakhan? What was that like?
Oh, amazing. I mean, some people get very comfortable and familiar with our minister. Not I. Like, just the feeling his presence means a lot to me. It means I'm worthy. You know what I mean? That man has dedicated his life to the Nation of Islam. I had a conversation with a sister today who was telling me she thinks she's a little too old to hold posts. Not when you have a man like that in your presence. You just have to continue to do it until Allah takes your last breath. So just to be in the presence of him, knowing that he's going to be somewhere, I have to be there. Like, I'm traveling to wherever he is to make sure I can see him as much as I can.
Okay, wonderful. Did you ever, while you were traveling and you were a young Vanguard, did you ever fear for your life or have death threats or never feared anything?
So, Brother Joshua, I was trained by your mom. So that should answer that question. There was never any fear, any hesitation in my life at all when it came to the teachings of the Nation of Islam and securing the believers and the minister. So there's many incidents where your mom and I were on post and incidents would happen and I would take her lead, because she's a very fearless woman. So I took that lead and I've been doing it ever since. Praise be to Allah.
Praise be to Allah. Yes, ma'am. What was it like? How was the adjustment when you left the Vanguard, when you aged out of the Vanguard? How was that?
Never aged out of the Vanguard. Just be clear with that, Brother Joshua.
Okay, yes, ma'am.
Always going to be Vanguard. But when I had to make adjustments.
You made adjustments, yes, ma'am.
The larger class.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
And it's just a little different. Like, they're not as structured as we were. And, and I see a lot of times that our young women are kind of going idle because we stayed busy. So I stayed with my hands in my heartbeat in the Vanguard class in Newark, New Jersey, just to try to keep them moving and keep it going. But it's a little different. Their responsibilities and their priorities are a little different than what we were allowed to do. So we're working on it. We're trying to get it back to the way it was. But the adjustment is very difficult.
Okay, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Okay, my other question is, how did you get into education?
So my degree is not in education, but once I
Mhm.
had my daughter, I was a paralegal. I was working at a law firm from like 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. So I took
Mm.
a year off once I had her. And my husband's thing is you wasn't going back to those long hours. You know, we had to raise
Mm.
this child. So the best thing is teaching. You off, you work when they work, you off when they're off, you have weekends off. And also I was coaching track. So I was able to certify as a
Mm.
teacher then. So during that time I started teaching. Not my goal in life was to be a teacher. Not at all, but this is where it led me to. So I
Yeah.
taught for 4 years until my son was in kindergarten and he wasn't reading. So once I had a discussion with the principal, his conversation to me was urban children don't read that early. You know,
Mm.
with the teachers on Blige Muhammad, you crazy. So I took a leave of absence and I never went back. So I took a leave of absence, took him home, tried to teach him how to read, and the believers started dropping their children off. And now I'm here in this position for the last 13 years. Praise be to Allah.
Yes, praise be to Allah. Yes, ma'am. But I also want to say, speaking of education, I want to thank my sister Miriam for her book sponsoring this podcast, ABC I Love Me. I want to thank
Yes.
Politically Oppressed, my brother and his business partner Jamal for Street Premiere. If you need some video editing, they're very good at that. My second book, which is a children's book, Cleopatra, it is on Amazon. Please get it. And if you would like me to sponsor, if you would like to be a sponsor and let me advertise your business, let me know. Inbox me, DM me, um, J Imagination on Cash App. Just let me know. Wonderful.
Awesome.
Now, since you've
So
been
proud of
13
you
years,
and Mimi. Y'all are doing your thing. I love it.
praise be to Allah, we are very proud of our great auntie as well. Now, Sister Al Nisa, what has been your greatest joy as running Torchlight Academy?
So, of course, I've had the experience of teaching children of all cultures and all nationalities. But the fact that I wake up during this school year and I know I'm going to teach children who I know are going to make a difference in the lives of others and in the Nation of Islam, and I'm free to teach what I want to teach, and I allow the students to say things that they wouldn't be allowed to say in a normal school setting, like.
Mm.
We've always heard the story that teachers can't curtail the way a child wants to grow or want to speak. I don't do that. They're free to speak. A lot of time, my staff is like, "You just give them too much." No, I don't give them too much. You know what I mean? I don't want them ever to think that we don't want to. We want to guide them to have the correct way of saying things, but I don't want to stop them from what they want to say. And our children do so well when they're free to think as a free Black man or woman. It's just awesome. I love it.
Okay, excellent. Now, so Nisa, at Torchlight, if I drop off my future children at the school, and they're very free and outspoken like their father, would they get beat or would you just curtail
It
them?
depends on the situation. I wouldn't say they get beat, but there is, we do discipline the children. So,
Okay.
but we don't have to do it often. You know what I mean? Like we have children that come to us that have been in a situation where they're 4 and 5 year olds and they have been in public schools hitting the teacher and the parent come, he can't control himself. He's aggressive towards the child. I have never heard such a thing at Torchlight. You don't put your hands on it because I'm the director. And I'll give you a look and you get it together. So a lot of times our parents will call me during the evening and be like, speak to your child. And just a conversation over the phone, they can get them to go to sleep and get what they have to do. So
Okay.
of us taking a village to raise the children.
Praise be to Allah. Okay, yes, ma'am. That's very good. What has been your greatest trial as an educator and a director?
My greatest trial as an educator and as a founder and director of Torchlight Educational Academy's economy. It's very difficult to compete with public and charter schools that are free and that for some reason our people think are better because they have the bigger buildings, they have the better books, they have all the different curriculum. And I'm competing with them. But Allah has guided me for the last 13 years where we've been open. We've never missed payroll and we're making it happen. So I just keep putting it in his hands. Whatever he says do, I do. I have to have the building open because when they are turned around from this world, I have to have somewhere for them to go. So it's a huge financial sacrifice for me and my husband, but he's been backing me up since I could remember. So I'm going with it until I can't go no more. Praise be to Allah.
Yes, ma'am. I have a question for people who may be watching who live in Newark area. What is the address and of the school so they can who if they want to attend and things of that nature?
So right now we're at 121 Ward Street in Orange, New Jersey. We've been here for the last 5 years. We plan to be here as long as we can. And if you're interested in calling, they can actually call me at 551-580-8956. School starts September 5th, and we have a rolling enrollment. You don't have to wait till the beginning of the school year. You can come whenever you decide your children need better.
That's beautiful. Praise be to Allah. And you, speaking of children, your children have followed in your footsteps as far as leaving high school early. Some of them graduating college. And could you let us know some of the products that you produce in your own family?
Oh, praise be to Allah. So I have 4 children. I have an older daughter and 3 sons. My daughter, Kalima Muhammad, she's gonna kill me. She hates when I tell her age, but she graduated college at 18. She's
Mm.
now 19 years old. She's a seventh grade teacher at North Star Academy Charter School. This is her second year. I have a
Praise
son
be to
who's
Allah.
17. He's starting Bloomfield College as a junior. And then I have a 14-year-old son that's going to be a high school junior. And then I have my 8-year-old son going into the fifth grade.
Praise be to Allah. Yes, ma'am. Well, they say the tree by the fruit it bears and all the cliche stuff. That's amazing that your children are doing that.
But the students at Torchlight do as well. Like they perform really well. We have a lot of alumni that have gone on to do great things. So independent school focuses on the child, focuses on the individual and try to get them where they are and meet them there and try to get them to raise high. You don't have a lot of discipline issues. You don't have to worry about sticking to a curriculum. As soon as a child masters something, you can move on. So it helps. It's easier to me.
Praise be to Allah. Yes, ma'am. And once again, anyone who lives in the Newark area, please pull up on Sister Al Nisa.
Yes, sir.
What advice would you give to future mothers?
Well, our first duty is our children. So a lot of time we get stuck in having to work and having to put our children and their education to the side and not thinking that we can do it. Like I didn't think that I was going to homeschool children. But when it came to the fact that something was happening with my child, I had to become a mother. So nothing else mattered. I didn't care about, we had a home. I didn't care about finances. I didn't care about how I was going to do. I had faith in Allah that you gave me something. I got to return it back to you better than what you gave it to me. And that's the only poverty that I had. And it has worked for me. So a lot of times the fear is financially how I'm going to do it. Everything is workable. I'm available for consultation. I'm an educational consultant. You can work your schedule around your children. When you're homeschooling, you don't need 8 hours a day to teach your child, just 2 or 3. And you can work it out. You can bring tutors in. You do not have to submit to anyone's authority when it comes to your children, but Allah's. And that's the key and the important part. Even with the immunizations, I've been through. I'm in school to get a doctorate. I've never been immunized. My children never been immunized. They went to college. They played sports. So when you're put in restraints and you feel as though you have nowhere to turn, you have to do your research. And that's the most important thing.
Praise be to Allah. Yes, ma'am. And when you say you're an educational consultant, like if somebody's watching this and they want their children to go to school and they don't want to get immunized, play sports, could they reach out to you to help? You can help. Give them some information on how they can go about that.
Definitely. I'm always available to whoever is interested in having help. But the main thing is when our children are trying to be diagnosed with ADHD or ADD, there's so many other opportunities. There's some people that might need to be controlled in an environment, but majority of our children, there are other outlets where they can be used. My son, the one I mentioned, that's what they were saying. He was delayed learner. And if you see him now, like I told you, he's gonna be a college sophomore. And if people know him, how could they have diagnosed him as that? But if I didn't have the intelligence of as a mom to say it has to be a better way, he would have went to the fair side of everyone else. You know what I mean? So also always a solution that comes to your children.
Praise be to Allah. That's amazing. I'm learning a lot from you because I never heard.
You're learning from me, Brother Josh?
Yes, ma'am. I didn't see this side growing up. This is not the side you showed me. You were more, silly and just funny. I didn't know the educational side.
Yeah.
Okay, advice for future wives. What advice would you give them?
Ooh, that's a touchy subject.
Yes,
now,
ma'am.
I've always, you have to make sure that you have a life. Like a lot of time as, individuals, I got married at 23, but I lived a life. A lot of time we get married, you'll be 35, but you're waiting to get married. So you're waiting to have a life of your own. Like once I got married, I went back to school. I'm always doing something. So I'm considered a person with ADHD as an adult. I don't stay busy. But you have to have even yoke. Like I can't be married to someone who wants me to be home. It doesn't make me happy to sit home and do nothing. So the person you marry has to believe in you, trust in you, and be very comfortable with who they are, where you're not a threat to them when you're trying to excel as a wife. Another thing is you have to also balance it out. Like you can't be so busy doing so much that you're leaving the children to the side or the house is a mess, so they're not being fed. So one thing your mom taught us is that we're Vangaurd, but those training units have to be in effect. So a lot of times we were so busy doing things, the brothers didn't believe we can cook and we can sew and we can clean. So we had to master all of those before we tried to even step onto anybody's event and try to do security. So that was a good upbringing that I had, whereas though I try to master home and then also outside. And that's key. I mean, as a wife, you know, you have to make sure that they're comfortable as a husband, that you're not, you know, ignoring him, trying to run around and do everything else. They got to be content. So it'll be 23 years for us on September the 7th. I'm happy to say that, you know, he's still there holding on. He hasn't given up. And I'm glad that, you know, he's there because his finances helped the school run. Like we both couldn't have dropped out and he couldn't have been the gym teacher. He had to keep going to make sure that the school stays afloat, which is key. We can't just leave what we're doing and you got to steal away. You can't just drop what you're doing. So I want to be independent. I don't want to work for nobody, but you don't have any income coming in. So strategically, it worked for us. Praise be to Allah. Yes, sir.
And I want to personally thank your husband for, my God, may Allah bless him for his strength and his patience.
I'm with you.
His mercy.
It's a lot to handle, Sister Al Nisa. I know.
Yes, man. Brother Daniel, walaikum salam. Sister Abisayo says she's very proud of you. Brother Rahim, walaikum salam, Brother Rahim. Brother Daniel says it's a shame how our children are being labeled to teach them killing fields. Sister Sharima says she probably would have been diagnosed with hyperactive disorder. And Sister Abisayo says she's Sharifa's example. Praise be to Allah. Sister, I need two more questions, brief questions. What keeps you going?
I don't know what it is, Josh. A lot of people keep saying, how do you have time to do all that you do? But it's like, what are you talking about? Our Constitution says we can rise as high as we want. And that's my goal. I'm still going to keep going. And, you know, a lot of time when our elderly get sick and I'm having conversations with them, they stop living, like they just stay still. You know what I mean? So that causes you to have, you know, issues. So I got to keep going and keep moving. And even though you believe I'm old, I'm not old, Josh.
I never said nothing.
But I just love to master and move on and keep going. And I'm in love with life. You know what I mean? I'm in love with all that it has to offer. I love educating myself. I love learning new things. So until I don't want to do it anymore, this is what I do. Yes, and I know I have a lot going on. People always say that, but until I guess don't do it successfully, then I'm gonna keep going. Praises be to Allah.
Yes, my praises to Allah. I also saw on your Facebook page, congratulations to you becoming a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha, and that was a great thing. How did that make you feel? And was that on your bucket list, or how, you know, what was that about?
Definitely on my bucket list. I actually was very interested when I was an undergrad, and that was in 1993. So of course, this has been a long time coming, and I've actually have been wanting to do it, but things have been in the way. But when opportunity came upon itself, I was just like, yes, let's make it happen. I'm all about service. They're all about service. I'm all about sisterhood. And I just want to, you know, do what I can to help that sorority, that organization blossom and do the best that they can. And I was happy that they wanted me. You know, it takes a lot. So they, you know, I was one of the chosen ones. So I got to make sure that I make that seat that they gave me a good seat. And I'm very happy to be a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated.
Absolutely. Thank you for saying the full name, because I know Mimi's gonna be like Kiwi and all that. That's wonderful.
Mimi be getting on you too. You better leave it.
Yes, Bill. What do you want your legacy to be, Sister Capt Al Nisa?
Sure, but I'm hoping that those, you know, I speak to a lot of alumni, and they are one thing that they say is that I never held them back. I allowed them to be free. And when they get to school, because we do a lot of Black studies, because I didn't get Black studies growing up, or history that I liked. I hated history because it didn't reflect anything I did. I know you're a history major, that's why I asked. My husband is a history buff, and I'm like, how did you enjoy something that you didn't see yourself in? So one thing I do is keep it where they see themselves in it. I tell the truth. You know what I mean? I let them know, you know, let's get this story straight so you will never forget the story again. So I have no idea what the legacy could be, but I know with my children, I hope that I always say to them, who's going to take over the school? They were like, not me. My youngest one is 8. He's willing to do it at this time. But as he gets older, I'm sure he's going to be like, it's too much work. I don't want them to think that I have sacrificed all of this and didn't enjoy life, which is why I travel and I do fun things. So my legacy is just to do what the ministers asked us to do and service the community. And there's joy in Islam. I tell people all the time, I'm always happy. You know what I mean? When it becomes something that you regret doing and it's no longer fun, then it's not for you. But I have fun doing what I do.
Absolutely, yes, ma'am, and I bear witness that I've seen
I can't.
You've been. I'm saying you've always been excited and fun, and you never seem like Islam made you miserable or sad.
I
And
love it.
I pray and never. I don't allow other people to make it that way either, because Islam is freeing and it's fun. I just want to thank you all for watching this special edition of Off the Record with Sister Captain Al Nisa
Thank you for
Muhammad,
having me, Brother Joshua.
who has given us a lot of inspiration and information. Thank you very much for coming on and taking time out of your busy schedule. We thank Allah on behalf of my family for your sacrifice and the sacrifice of your children, but especially the sacrifice of your husband with his patience and his mercy. And
Whatever.
all right, assalamu alaikum, man.
Time, please give your mom and your father the greetings for me, and let my soror know I love her, and keep him the baby to kiss for me. Love you.
Love you too. Assalamu alaikum.
All right.